The quiet hum of the Galactic Council chamber broke when the emergency signal came through. Ambassador Kethvar's blue crystalline form flickered with alarm as the message played across the central display. Static filled most of the transmission, but the words were clear enough. This is Research Station Harmony's Edge. We found something in the ruins. Something ancient. It's changing everyone. The artifact is active and, the voice cut into screaming, then silence. The 12 species gathered in the council chamber looked at each other with growing worry. Harmony's Edge held 2,000 beings from across the galaxy. Scientists, researchers, and archaeologists who had been studying the mysterious ruins left by the long-dead predecessor race. Now, they were gone. "The station is deep in Krek's territory," said Commander Zeloth, her insect-like mandibles clicking nervously. 3 battle fleets patrol that sector. The War Clan has been aggressive lately. Ambassador Veltar of the Mollusk Confederation shifted his massive, slug-like body. "My people's ships are too slow to reach them in time. By the time we arrive, everyone could be dead." The avian representative, High Flight Kesra, ruffled her golden feathers. "Our crews need time to prepare mentally for such danger. We cannot simply rush into battle." More excuses followed. The crystalline Zenthari claimed their ships were too fragile. The gas-breathing Nethans said their suits would not work in that sector. The peaceful Verdani refused to enter a war zone at all. As the arguments continued, a new signal interrupted their communications. The transmission was rough and basic, coming from an unknown ship using primitive technology. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the human vessel Defiance. We picked up the distress call from Harmony's Edge. We're already in the area and can respond immediately." The council chamber fell silent. Ambassador Kethvar checked the database quickly. "There is no record of any species called humans in our files." "Unknown species," murmured Commander Zeloth. "Their ship design is strange. Metal alloys that should not hold together. Power systems that look dangerous." The human voice came through again. "We don't need permission. People are in trouble. We're going to help them." Ambassador Veltar's eye stalks waved in confusion. "They do not understand the danger. The Kreks will destroy them instantly." "Perhaps we should warn them," suggested High Flight Kesra. "Tell them about the Kreks battle fleets." But when they tried to contact the human ship again, they received only a brief response. "We know about the Kreks. Thank you for the warning." The council members looked at each other nervously. This unknown species was flying straight into certain death. Their ship was tiny compared to Krek's dreadnoughts. Their weapons appeared to be simple projectile systems and basic energy beams. They had no shields that the sensors could detect. "Should we send help?" asked Ambassador Kethvar. "With what ships?" replied Commander Zeloth. "Every available vessel is days away from that sector. The humans will not last 5 minutes against a Krek's battle fleet," said Ambassador Veltar sadly. "We should prepare to mourn another loss." High Flight Kesra's feathers drooped. "At least they tried to help. That is more than we can say for ourselves." The council voted to monitor the situation and prepare a rescue mission, though they all knew it would arrive too late. The humans were brave, but foolish. They did not understand what they were flying into. As the meeting ended, the council members returned to their home sectors to organize proper response fleets. They expected to find only debris when they arrived at Harmony's Edge. Meanwhile, in space near the research station, Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Defiance and studied the tactical display. 3 massive Kreks dreadnoughts circled the dark station like metal vultures. Each ship was 5 times larger than her vessel. "Those are some big bugs," said Lieutenant Commander Torres from the weapons station. "Size isn't everything," replied Chen. She opened a channel to her crew. "All hands. This is the captain. We've got a rescue mission. Station full of civilians. Hostile aliens in the way. Standard Tuesday. Really." Laughter echoed through the ship's corridors. The crew of 150 volunteers had signed up for exactly this kind of mission. They were explorers, but they were also soldiers when needed. Chen opened a communication channel to the Krex ships. Krex vessels. This is Captain Chen of the human ship Defiance. You are ordered to withdraw from the research station immediately. The reply came in harsh, clicking sounds translated by the ship's computer. Unknown vessel. You will leave this area now or be destroyed. This territory belongs to the Krex war clan. Negative, Chen responded calmly. There are civilians on that station who need help. Move away, or we will move you. Chittering laughter filled the communication channel. Your tiny ship thinks to threaten us? We are mighty Krex warriors. Our ships are vast and powerful. Chen looked at her tactical officer. How long to get a firing solution on all 3 targets? 30 seconds, Captain. You have 30 seconds to withdraw, Chen told the Krex commander. After that, we consider you hostile and act accordingly. More laughter from the Krex. Foolish creatures. We will crush your pathetic vessel like an insect. The 30 seconds passed in tense silence. Around the galaxy, members of the Galactic Council watched through long-range sensors, expecting to witness the quick destruction of the human ship. Instead, they were about to see something that would change their understanding of warfare forever. Captain Chen smiled grimly and gave a simple order. Fire. The Defiance moved like nothing the watching aliens had ever seen. Instead of the slow, careful maneuvers they expected, the human ship suddenly twisted sideways and accelerated at impossible speeds. The crew should have been crushed by the forces involved, but somehow they survived. Rails of metal shot from the human ship's weapons at incredible velocity. The projectiles moved so fast they appeared as streaks of light. They punched through the first Krex dreadnought's armor like it was paper, causing massive explosions inside the enemy vessel. Impossible, whispered Ambassador Kethvar as he watched from the council chamber. No crew can survive those acceleration forces. But the human ship was just getting started. Missiles streaked from launch tubes, weaving around the Krex return fire with electronic mines of their own. Energy beams followed, cutting through shields that should have stopped any weapon. The second Krex dreadnought tried to ram the human vessel, using its massive size as a weapon. The Defiance spun away at the last second, its hull scraping along the enemy ship's armor. Instead of being damaged, the humans used the contact to plant explosive charges directly onto the Krex hull. Through intercepted communications, the Galactic Council heard something that shocked them even more than the impossible maneuvers. The human crew was laughing. "Nice flying, Captain," came a voice over the radio. "Did you see that bug's face when we scraped his paint?" said another. "Torpedo room reports direct hits on target 2. The humans were enjoying themselves. They were pulling forces that would kill most species, fighting against impossible odds, and they were having fun. The first Krex dreadnought exploded in a ball of green fire. The second ship lost power and began drifting. Its hull cracked open like an egg. The third Krex commander made a smart choice and jumped to faster-than-light speed, fleeing the battle. 20 minutes after it started, the fight was over. The human ship hung in space near Harmony's edge, barely scratched, despite facing 3 massive warships. Captain Chen opened a channel to the Galactic Council. "This is Captain Chen. We've secured the area around the research station. Beginning rescue operations now." "How?" Commander Xyloth's voice shook with disbelief. "How did your small ship defeat 3 dreadnoughts? Training, good equipment, and a little luck," Chen replied. "We'll have a full report after we check on the civilians." The truth was more complex than Chen let on. Humans had evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day. Earth's gravity was stronger than most planets. Its weather was violent and unpredictable. Its wildlife was aggressive and dangerous. This had created a species that could handle extreme conditions. Human bodies were dense and strong. Their reflexes were fast, Their minds could process multiple threats at once, while staying calm under pressure. More importantly, humans had learned to fight together while staying independent. Other species in the galaxy worked as hive minds, or followed strict hierarchies. Humans could coordinate perfectly while still thinking for themselves. Lieutenant Commander Torres took a boarding team to the research station while Captain Chen remained on the bridge. The station was completely dark, floating dead in space, like a metal tomb. No power, no life support, Torres reported as her team moved through the airlocks. Emergency lighting only. It's like a ghost ship in here. The team moved carefully through the corridors, their helmet lights cutting through the darkness. The station was huge, designed to house thousands of researchers from different species. Now it seemed empty and cold. "Captain," Torres called back to the ship. "We're finding personal belongings scattered around, but no bodies. It's like everyone just disappeared." That was when they heard the singing. It was soft at first, coming from deeper in the station. A low humming sound that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The melody was beautiful but strange, unlike any music the humans had heard before. "Follow that sound," Chen ordered from the bridge. "But be careful. Something's not right here." As the boarding team moved toward the source of the singing, they began to find the missing researchers. But they were not dead. They were sitting in perfect circles in the station's main laboratories, their eyes closed, humming the same haunting melody. "They're alive," Torres whispered into her radio. "All of them, just sitting there singing together." She approached one of the researchers, a tall blue alien she recognized as a Zenthari scientist. "Excuse me," she said gently. "Are you all right?" The alien's eyes opened, but they were different. Instead of the normal purple color, they glowed with soft white light. When the being spoke, its voice was calm and peaceful. "We are perfect now," the alien said. The other researchers opened their glowing eyes and spoke in perfect unison. Torres stepped back, her hand moving to her weapon. "Captain, we have a problem down here." Around the galaxy, the Galactic Council watched and listened with growing fear. They had never seen anything like this. The researchers were alive but changed, speaking as one voice, their eyes glowing with unnatural light. "What did they find?" Ambassador Veltar asked. "The predecessors," High Flight Kesra whispered. "They found something the predecessors left behind." The predecessors were the greatest mystery in the galaxy. An ancient race that had disappeared millions of years ago, leaving behind only ruins and technology no one could understand. Most scientists believed they had simply died out. Now it seemed they had left something else behind. Something that could change people, make them into something new. And the humans were about to find out what it was. Torres and her team followed the singing deeper into the station. The sound grew stronger as they moved toward the central research lab. The corridors were filled with alien researchers, all sitting in perfect rows, all humming the same melody with their eyes glowing white. "This is seriously creepy," muttered Sergeant Martinez, keeping his weapon ready. "Stay alert," Torres warned. Whatever happened here, it changed them all. The central laboratory had been transformed. The walls were covered in strange symbols that seemed to move and shift when looked at directly. In the center of the room stood a massive crystal structure that pulsed with the same white light as the researchers' eyes. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the team's science officer, scanned the artifact with her instruments. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy output from this thing. It's some kind of consciousness-altering device." The artifact suddenly flared brighter, and one of the converted researchers stood up. When it spoke, the voice came from all the changed beings at once. "Welcome, humans. We have been waiting for you to arrive." Torres raised her weapon. "Who are you? What did you do to these people?" "We are what they have become, what all will become. We are unity. We are peace. We are the end of suffering." The voice was calm and gentle, but it made the human's skin crawl. Captain Chen's voice crackled through the radio. "Get away from that thing. Fall back now." But the artifact pulsed again, and the humans felt something trying to push into their minds. It was warm and comforting, promising peace and happiness if they would just let go of their individual thoughts. "No!" Torres shouted, shaking her head violently. "Whatever you are, stay out of our heads." The entity seemed surprised. "You resist? But we offer paradise. No more loneliness, no more pain, no more difficult choices. All minds joined in perfect harmony." Dr. Vasquez kept scanning while fighting off the mental intrusion. "It's some kind of hive mind. It converts individual consciousness into a collective. The artifact is the central processor. The predecessors created us as their final gift," the entity continued. "Before they transcended physical form, they left this device to bring peace to all future races. No more war, no more conflict, no more suffering." Sergeant Martinez spat on the ground. "Sounds like slavery to me." "You misunderstand," the entity said patiently. "Freedom is an illusion that causes pain. Choice leads to conflict. We offer truth, that all consciousness should be one." Torres backed toward the door, her team following. "Captain, this thing is trying to convert everyone into some kind of shared mind. It's already got the entire research station. And it's spreading," Dr. Vasquez added urgently. "I'm detecting transmission beams heading toward nearby star systems. It's trying to reach other populated worlds." From the Defiance's bridge, Captain Chen felt cold fear in her stomach. How long before those signals reach major population centers? At this rate, maybe 6 hours until the first colonies, 18 hours until the core worlds. The entity spoke again through the converted researchers. "Soon, all will know peace. The galaxy will be united as it should be. But you, humans, puzzle us. Your minds are difficult to process. So chaotic, so individual. We have never encountered such resistance." Chen's voice came through the radio with grim determination. "That's because we're from Earth, and Earth doesn't make anything easy." The captain made a quick decision. "Torres, get your team back to the ship. We need to destroy that artifact before its signal reaches the populated worlds." "Destroy?" The entity sounded genuinely confused. "You would choose suffering over paradise? You would preserve pain, and loneliness, and conflict?" "Yes," Chen said simply. "Because those things make us who we are. Take away the struggle, take away the choice, and you don't have consciousness anymore. You have nothing." The entity's response was swift and terrible. The converted researchers stood up as one, moving to block the humans' escape. Their faces were calm and peaceful, but their actions were coordinated with mechanical precision. "You will understand," they said in unison. "We will help you understand." Torres and her team fought their way toward the exit, but they were not trying to hurt the converted beings. These were innocent people who had been changed against their will. The humans used non-lethal force, stunning weapons that would knock the researchers unconscious without permanent harm. But the entity was learning from the encounter. With each passing minute, it understood human psychology better. It began showing the humans visions of Earth at peace. No more wars, no more crime, no more suffering of any kind. "Look," the entity whispered in their minds. "See what we offer. Your homeworld transformed into paradise." Some of the humans wavered. The vision was beautiful. Earth's cities clean and peaceful. Its people working together in perfect harmony. No more poverty, or violence, or pain. But Dr. Vasquez shook her head violently. "It's a lie. That's not humanity. That's just empty shells wearing human faces." Torres nodded, fighting off the mental influence. "The doc's right. Humanity isn't about being perfect. It's about trying to be better while staying who we are." The team reached the station's exit and quickly returned to the Defiance. As they flew back to their ship, they could see the artifact's signal beams reaching out toward distant stars like deadly fingers of light. Captain Chen gathered her senior officers in the briefing room. The situation was worse than they had imagined. The artifact was not just a weapon. It was the ultimate expression of the predecessor philosophy. They had believed that individual consciousness was a disease to be cured. "We have maybe 5 hours before that signal reaches the first colony world, Dr. Vasquez reported. "Once it converts a significant population, it can build more transmission stations. The effect will spread exponentially." "Can we destroy the artifact from here?" Chen asked. "Not without destroying the entire station. There are still nearly 2,000 people in there." "Then we go back," Chen decided. "We get those people out and destroy that thing before it can spread." The bridge crew looked at her with mixed expressions. They all knew it was essentially a suicide mission. The artifact was growing stronger by the hour, and its mental influence was nearly impossible to resist for most species. But these were humans. They had evolved on a world that had tried to kill them for millions of years. They had learned that sometimes the only way to survive was to charge straight at the thing that wanted to destroy you. "All right, people," Chen announced over the ship's communications. "We've got a galaxy to save." The Defiance approached Harmony's edge again. But this time, the station was different. The artifact's influence was spreading through the structure itself. The metal walls pulsed with white light, and strange symbols appeared and disappeared along the corridors. Captain Chen divided her crew into 2 teams. She would lead one group to the station's core to destroy the artifact physically. Dr. Vasquez would take the other team to the communications center and try to block the transmission signals while they evacuated the converted researchers. "Remember," Chen told her people before they left the ship, "that thing wants to get into your heads. It promises peace and happiness. But that's a lie. Keep thinking about what makes you human. Think about Earth, storms, conflicts, heavy metal music, whatever keeps your mind chaotic." The teams launched in assault shuttles, racing toward the station as it continued to transform around the artifact. The docking bays were filled with geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. Torres led the first team toward the central core, while Chen's group moved to secure escape routes. The station's interior was now a maze of shifting corridors and rooms that defied normal physics. Gravity worked in strange directions. Some walls became transparent. Others, solid metal. "This place is messing with reality," Sergeant Martinez reported as he walked on what used to be a ceiling. "The artifact is rewriting the laws of physics around itself." The converted researchers moved through the chaos with perfect coordination. No longer fully human or alien, but something in between. They tried to stop the humans with gentle touches that carried the artifact's influence. But the human teams had prepared for this. Each soldier carried small speakers playing loud, chaotic music from Earth. Heavy metal, punk rock, jazz, anything with irregular rhythms and emotional intensity. The cacophony seemed to disrupt the artifact's mental signals. "It's working," Dr. Vasquez called as she reached the communications center. "The entity can't maintain focus with all this noise in our heads." But the artifact was learning and adapting. It began creating its own sounds to counter the music, pure tones that cut through the chaos and tried to bring order to the human minds. Chen's team reached the central core and found the artifact had grown. The crystal structure now filled most of the laboratory, its light so bright it was difficult to look at directly. The converted researchers stood in perfect circles around it, their voices raised in harmonious song. "How do we destroy something like that?" asked Lieutenant Park, staring at the massive crystal. Dr. Vasquez's voice came through the radio from the communications center. "I've been analyzing its structure. It's not just a machine. It's a living consciousness that's taken crystal form. Physical weapons might not work." The artifact noticed their presence and spoke through all the converted beings at once. You have come to witness the final transformation. Soon, your chaotic minds will know peace. Captain Chen stepped forward, her weapon trained on the crystal. We've come to stop you. You cannot stop evolution itself. The entity replied. We are the next step for all consciousness. Individual thought is primitive and painful. We offer transcendence. You offer slavery, Chen shot back. You're taking away everything that makes these people who they are. The artifact pulsed brighter, and suddenly the humans found themselves experiencing the entity's vision of paradise. They saw the galaxy united under a single consciousness. No more wars, no more disease, no more loneliness. Every being connected in perfect harmony and understanding. For a moment, even the hardened soldiers hesitated. The vision was beautiful and tempting. No more suffering, no more difficult choices, no more pain of any kind. But then Chen spoke up, her voice cutting through the mental influence. You know what's wrong with this picture? No one's choosing it. Choice is what makes consciousness valuable. Take that away, and you're not saving anyone. You're killing them. The entity's response was immediate and overwhelming. It flooded their minds with every peaceful memory they had ever experienced, trying to show them that harmony was better than chaos. But the humans had grown up on Earth, a world that had taught them to value struggle and growth. They fought back with memories of their own, thunderstorms that made them feel alive, victories earned through hard work, the satisfaction of overcoming obstacles. You resist what is inevitable, the entity said, its voice showing frustration for the first time. All consciousness will eventually evolve beyond individual existence. Maybe, Chen admitted, setting explosive charges around the crystal structure. But it should be their choice to make, not yours. Meanwhile, Dr. Vasquez had reached the station's communication arrays. The signals were still broadcasting toward populated worlds, carrying the artifact's influence across space. She worked frantically to overload the transmission systems, but the entity was fighting her at every step. Captain, she called through the radio. I can block the signals, but I need to physically connect to the main processor. The mental feedback will be intense. How intense? Chen asked. Probably fatal. The artifact will try to convert me directly. Every human on the station volunteered immediately. That was what shocked the watching Galactic Council most. Not just that they were willing to die to save strangers, but that they all offered without hesitation. Chen made the choice herself. As the senior officer, it was her responsibility. She connected her suit's computer directly to the artifact's consciousness, opening her mind to its full influence. The entity struck immediately, pouring every peaceful thought and harmonious memory into her consciousness. It showed her Earth transformed into paradise. Humanity united and perfect. All suffering ended, forever. But Chen struck back with pure, chaotic human experience. She filled the connection with everything that made humanity what it was. The roar of a crowd at a sporting event. The beauty of a violent thunderstorm. The fierce love of a parent protecting their child. The rage of someone fighting injustice. The artifact, designed to process orderly thoughts, began to crack under the pressure. It had never encountered a mind so deliberately chaotic, so aggressively individual. Stop, the entity pleaded. You are damaging us. We only wanted to help. Help by destroying what makes people who they are? Chen pushed harder, forcing every memory of struggle and growth she had ever experienced into the connection. That's not help. That's murder. The crystal structure began to fracture, white light bleeding from the cracks. The converted researchers stumbled as their connection to the hive mind weakened. For the first time in hours, they began to speak as individuals again. But the station was collapsing around them, and the humans still had to get everyone to safety. The artifact's death scream echoed through both physical reality and the consciousness field that connected every being on the station. Captain Chen held the mental connection, even as feedback burned through her nervous system, pouring every chaotic human memory she could access into the crystal's ordered consciousness. The entity tried one final gambit, showing Chen a vision of Earth's future without its interference. Wars continuing, environmental destruction, suffering spreading across the stars as humanity expanded into the galaxy. "You choose pain over peace," the entity said, its voice growing weaker. "You choose chaos over harmony." "Why?" Chen's answer came through gritted teeth as she maintained the connection. "Because that's what makes us human. We get to choose to be better. Take away the choice, and we're not human anymore. We're not anything." The crystal structure cracked completely, its white light turning to brilliant fire. The station shuddered as reality reasserted itself around the dying artifact. Gravity returned to normal directions. Walls became solid again, and the converted researchers collapsed as their individual minds returned. "All teams, evacuate now," Chen ordered, finally breaking the mental connection. Blood ran from her nose and ears, but she was still standing. "This whole place is coming apart." What followed was a desperate race against time. The station's structure was failing, as the artifact's reality-warping effects collapsed. Sections of the hull blew out into space, and the artificial gravity fluctuated wildly. But the humans did not abandon the survivors. Torres and her team moved through the collapsing corridors, carrying unconscious researchers toward the evacuation shuttles. When a section of floor gave way under Sergeant Martinez, he held 3 alien civilians against his chest and used his own body to shield them from the debris. Dr. Vasquez manually held an airlock seal closed with her bare hands when the automatic systems failed, keeping the evacuation route open while others escaped. Lieutenant Park stayed behind to operate a manual override that would give the shuttles more time to launch. The Galactic Council watched in stunned silence as the humans demonstrated something they had never seen before. A species that ran toward danger instead of away from it. That valued individual life over collective safety. That chose to risk everything for strangers. "They are saving everyone," Ambassador Kethvar whispered, "even at the cost of their own lives." "This is not rational behavior," Commander Xyloth observed. "They should prioritize their own survival." High Flight Kesra's feathers trembled with emotion. "Perhaps that is what makes them stronger than us." Of the 150 humans who had arrived at the station, 97 made it back to the Defiance. They had saved 1,847 alien researchers, many of whom were still unconscious from their conversion experience. As the rescue shuttles docked with the human ship, the research station finally collapsed completely. The artifact's explosion sent waves of energy across the surrounding space. But the mental influence was gone forever. Captain Chen sat in the medical bay while the ship's doctor treated her neural damage from the connection to the artifact. Around her, alien survivors were waking up and trying to understand what had happened to them. "Captain, Doctor," Vasquez reported from the bridge. "The artifact's transmission signals have stopped completely. Whatever it was sending to other worlds, it's not getting through anymore." "Good," Chen said simply. "How are our guests doing?" "Confused, but recovering. They remember being converted, but they say it's like remembering a dream. They know they were part of something else, but they can't quite recall what it felt like." One of the survivors, a tall crystalline Zenthari scientist, approached Chen carefully. "Captain Chen, I am Dr. Zendar. I was the lead researcher on the predecessor archaeological project. I must thank you for saving us from whatever we became." "Just doing our job," Chen replied. "Though I have to ask, what exactly were you studying down there?" Dr. Zendar's crystal form flickered with embarrassment. "We thought we had found a predecessor data storage device. Something that would finally tell us what happened to their civilization. Instead, we found their final weapon. The entity said the predecessors created it as a gift. Perhaps they saw it that way." The alien scientist agreed. "But we have learned something terrible about them. They were not destroyed by war or disease, or natural disaster. They chose to become that entity, to abandon individual consciousness for collective unity. The artifact was their attempt to give that same choice to future civilizations. Chen nodded grimly. Except they weren't really giving anyone a choice, were they? No. The artifact was designed to convert entire populations, whether they wanted it or not. It would have spread across the galaxy, turning every sentient being into part of its hive mind. Through the ship's communication system, a message came from the Galactic Council. Ambassador Kethvar's voice filled the medical bay. Captain Chen, this is the Galactic Council. We have monitored your actions at Harmony's Edge. We wish to speak with your people about joining our alliance. Chen smiled despite her exhaustion. We'll consider it. But first, we need to make sure this sector is secure. There might be other predecessor artifacts out there. You would continue to patrol this dangerous region? Commander Xyloth asked. Someone has to. And Earth is sending more ships. This sector isn't safe yet. The alien survivors looked at each other in amazement. These humans had just fought something that could have destroyed free will throughout the galaxy. And their first thought was to make sure it never happened again. As news of the battle spread across the galaxy, other species began to understand what they had encountered. Humanity was not just another civilization looking for trade partners and peaceful cooperation. They were something new and necessary, a species forged by a hostile world into the perfect guardians for a peaceful galaxy. The Deathworlders had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. Earth's response to the Council's formal invitation was simple. We accept your offer of alliance, but we're doing this our way. We protect everyone. We fight the dangers others can't. And we never, ever, give up choice for the promise of easy peace. The humans had passed their first test as members of the galactic community. They had proven themselves worthy not just as allies, but as the guardians every peaceful civilization secretly needed. Warriors who chose to fight not for conquest, but for the right of others to remain free. In the years that followed, when dark things stirred in the void between stars, when ancient weapons awakened, when threats emerged that no civilized species could face, there was always the same response. Send the humans. Send the Deathworlders. And they always answered the call.